Whether you love him or hate him, you have to admit Trump's first 12 days in office have been a whirlwind, by design. His shock and awe strategy had the intended effect. By doing so many things at once, it's hard for Americans, already preoccupied with their own struggles, to keep up with it all, let alone process it. From unilaterally halting domestic and foreign aid to challenging birthright citizenship, Trump's actions have been bold and controversial. In this video, we'll break down his early actions, discuss whether they may be illegal or unconstitutional, and return to the bigger question, are we heading into fascism? Trump's opening moves have been significant. In his first 12 days in office, he's pushed forward with bold initiatives that challenge both long-standing norms and the power of other branches of government. Notably, his proposals to unilaterally stop domestic and foreign aid already approved by Congress, and to end birthright citizenship, have raised alarm bells among both legal experts and political observers. But here's the kicker. In a time where Americans are juggling personal struggles, economic uncertainty, and the ever-changing landscape of global politics, it's tough to even keep track of what's happening day to day. That's exactly the point. Trump is keeping everyone on their toes, making it impossible to absorb all of his actions, let alone dissect whether they're legal or not. Is this a strategy designed to overwhelm, or is it a deeper move to consolidate power, or both? In this video, we're going to break down what Trump has done in just the first 12 days of 2025. We'll also look at his involvement with Project 2025 and Agenda 47, two key parts of his political playbook. And perhaps most crucially, we'll explore the question that everyone is asking. Are we heading toward fascism? But first, let's summarize his first 12 days in office so far. Stick with us to find out where we are in this political chess game, and what it might mean for the future. Donald Trump's first 12 days in office in 2025 have been marked by a whirlwind of bold, often divisive actions that set the tone for his second term. Whether you agree or disagree with his agenda, there's no denying that these initial days have been a strategic push for aggressive change. His administration has already taken significant steps to reshape both domestic and foreign policy, focusing on unilateral executive orders, sweeping deregulation, and controversial international moves that will have long-term effects on both the United States and the world. The Trump administration has pushed forward with aggressive tariff policies, a cornerstone of his trade strategy. On February 1st, new tariffs went into effect on goods from China, Canada, and Mexico. The tariffs, which range from 15% to 30%, were designed to penalize these countries for what Trump deems unfair trade practices. While the tariffs will increase the cost of imported goods and reduce the United States trade deficit, they also come at a cost to everyday Americans. These tariffs are expected to raise the prices of common household items, from electronics to food products, meaning U.S. consumers will feel the financial burden in their wallets. For instance, everyday items like clothing, electronics, and furniture could see price hikes, as manufacturers may either absorb the costs or pass them directly to consumers. At the same time, Mexican and Canadian businesses, both of which rely heavily on exports to the United States, are already feeling the squeeze, leading to higher prices for goods abroad and potential disruptions to trade routes. With inflation already straining the American pocketbook, these tariffs will likely exacerbate financial pressures on families, while countries like Canada and Mexico will face economic challenges that could ripple out to global markets. On the international stage, Trump has reaffirmed his desire to exit the Paris Climate Accords, a move that he first initiated in 2017. Trump's decision to withdraw from the agreement has serious consequences for international climate action. By choosing to prioritize U.S. economic interests over global cooperation, Trump has alienated many of America's allies and weakened the global fight against climate change. The Paris Accords, a landmark international treaty aimed at reducing global carbon emissions, will now lose one of its major participants, just as the world is grappling with increasingly severe climate-related events. For those who view climate change as an existential threat, Trump's pullout is a major setback that could undermine global efforts to stave off catastrophic environmental damage. Trump's foreign policy also remains focused on asserting U.S. dominance over international resources. He has revived plans to purchase Greenland, a strategic move aimed at increasing U.S. influence in the Arctic region, where melting ice is opening new shipping routes and access to natural resources. While this idea has been dismissed by Denmark in the past, Trump is reportedly undeterred. His administration has pushed the notion that Greenland's natural resources could benefit the United States, and that acquiring the territory would bolster U.S. security interests. Similarly, Trump has expressed renewed interest in asserting more control over the Panama Canal, a vital global trade route. His administration has reportedly been looking at ways to regain greater influence over its operation, even as the canal remains under Panamanian control. This ambition speaks to Trump's broader vision of reasserting American dominance over strategic global assets. Domestically, Trump's actions have also included controversial moves against federal agencies, particularly with illegal firings and other shakeups. Early in his term, several National Labor Relations Board officials who had publicly opposed his policies were dismissed. Labor rights groups argue that these firings violated federal laws meant to protect the independence of agencies. These firings have fueled accusations of political meddling and corruption, calling into question whether the Trump administration is undermining the very structures designed to safeguard fairness in federal operations. Trump has also stirred up concerns regarding Guantanamo Bay, with discussions about expanding the prison and using it for more detainees. Trump's tough-on-terrorism stance is well known, but increasing the use of Guantanamo could bring international legal and human rights challenges, particularly in light of its controversial history and the ongoing criticism of the detention center's treatment of detainees. Finally, a tragic plane crash in Washington, D.C. has raised questions about the Trump administration's regulatory stance. While investigations into the crash are ongoing, some have speculated that Trump's DEI rollbacks, including aviation safety regulations, may have contributed to the crash, though no direct link has been established yet. This raises concerns about the long-term consequences of Trump's deregulatory efforts on public safety, particularly in industries such as aviation. One of the most notable actions of the first days was Trump's unilateral suspension of domestic and foreign aid, including halting the president's emergency plan for AIDS relief. Initiated by Republican President George W. Bush in 2003, PEPFAR has saved over 20 million lives by providing critical HIV/AIDS treatment in sub-Saharan Africa and other parts of the world. Trump's decision to freeze funding for this life-saving program, with no immediate alternative in place, has drawn heavy criticism. It represents a stark departure from the bipartisan support PEPFAR has enjoyed for years. While Trump justifies this action as an effort to reevaluate foreign aid, the suspension has left millions of people vulnerable to the AIDS epidemic once again, effectively putting their lives on hold as they wait for Congress to intervene or change the policy. Through these early actions, Trump has made it clear that his presidency will be marked by unilateral decisions, dramatic changes to foreign and domestic policy, and efforts to upend the political establishment. From halting life-saving foreign aid programs to reinvigorating controversial trade policies and strategic ambitions abroad, the first 12 days have been a preview of what is to come. As Trump continues to push his America First agenda, the stakes for both the United States and the world grow ever higher. His decisions will likely continue to have profound implications, and as this early phase of his term unfolds, it's clear that the fight for the future of the nation is already underway. Those are the highlights of a busy couple of weeks. How many of those actions are related to Project 2025 or Agenda 47? Let's discuss those next. What exactly is Project 2025, and why should we care? Imagine a vision so expansive that it's not just about winning a second term, but about fundamentally reshaping the United States' political, social, and economic systems. Project 2025 is Trump's initiative to build the conservative future he envisions. His goal is simple: to lock in his political ideology for years to come, beyond his presidency. You might be wondering, what does this really entail? Besides more tax cuts for the wealthy and more burden and misery for everyone else, think massive overhauls to the judiciary, a reorganization of federal agencies, and a dramatic rollback of government regulations. He's aiming to reshape government to work for his base, those that feel left behind by traditional politics. This strategy is about securing the long-term agenda of a conservative revolution. But what's the catch? Here's where it gets interesting. Project 2025 isn't just about Trump. It's about embedding right-wing values into the fabric of American governance. It's about restructuring how the government functions, controlling who holds power, and securing a vision of America that fits Trump's image. So, how far will this go? Will his administration truly be able to implement this revolution? Or is this just an exercise in political theater? In the next section, we'll dive into Agenda 47, Trump's game plan for his re-election campaign in 2024 and beyond. But before we get there, let's ask, can any of this be considered illegal, or is it just aggressive politics? Agenda 47 is more than just a catchy slogan. It's the cornerstone of Trump's re-election strategy. Think of it as his manifesto for the future of America, a series of radical proposals designed to energize his base while appealing to those who still want a return to greatness. At the heart of Agenda 47 is an America First policy framework, a tough stance on immigration, ramped-up military spending, and a sharp reduction of taxes and government regulations. But there's more. Trump aims to break down the establishment. And this time, he's using a well-oiled machine of loyalists to do it. His administration would overhaul the bureaucracy, reduce federal influence, and push forward with policies that directly benefit corporate interests while targeting what he deems the swamp of Washington. However, there's a significant problem here. Some of these policies, especially those that go after established norms, are controversial at best and illegal at worst. Could he be violating the law in his quest to drain the swamp? As we continue, we'll look into whether Trump's actions so far could cross into illegal territory, and what legal challenges might arise from this new agenda. But hold tight, because the real question isn't just about legality. It's about whether these actions are signs of something much darker lurking beneath the surface. Could this be a road to fascism? Robert Paxton, a renowned historian and expert on fascism, developed the framework of the 5 stages of fascism to better understand the rise of authoritarian movements and their gradual consolidation of power. Paxton, who authored The Anatomy of Fascism in 2004, is widely regarded as one of the leading scholars on the subject, with a career spent studying the political dynamics that lead to the establishment of fascist regimes, particularly in 20th century Europe. His academic work has helped illuminate the conditions under which fascism can take root, and the warning signs that societies must watch for to prevent its rise. Paxton's analysis is based on extensive research into the rise of regimes like Nazi Germany and Mussolini's Italy, and it provides a blueprint for recognizing the stages that might lead a nation toward authoritarianism. In Paxton's first stage, he describes how a crisis of the old order creates fertile ground for fascist movements. This sense of crisis can stem from political, social, or economic instability, and it's often marked by widespread disillusionment with the existing government or political system. Looking at Trump's early actions, it's clear that his rhetoric and policies align with this first stage. His inflammatory statements on immigration, for instance, have contributed to framing a narrative of national crisis, particularly by questioning the validity of birthright citizenship and portraying immigrant populations as a threat to national security. By calling immigration a crisis and positioning it as a direct challenge to the country's integrity, he's capitalized on fears of demographic change and cultural transformation. This plays directly into creating an us versus them dynamic, fueling the sense of crisis, urgency, and fear among his supporters. This rhetoric taps into xenophobic anxieties, rallying his base around the idea that they must defend their country from perceived threats. In doing so, it strengthens his influence over a significant portion of the American population who feel threatened by these changes. Paxton's first stage, therefore, is clearly in play, as Trump has used these tactics to generate a widespread sense of crisis and division. Furthermore, Trump's recent executive actions targeting foreign and domestic aid are also designed to make his supporters feel as though their interests are being defended against an out-of-control government. By claiming that Congress is sending aid to countries that don't respect America, he creates a narrative that American resources should be prioritized for domestic use, especially in an era of perceived crisis. So, yes to stage 1, Trump is certainly creating a sense of crisis, portraying both immigration and foreign aid as existential threats that require radical change. The second stage of fascism involves the co-opting of state institutions, turning them into tools for the leader's vision. Trump's actions in his first 12 days have shown that he is willing to challenge established norms and institutions that stand in his way. The most significant example of this is his attempt to halt foreign and domestic aid already approved by Congress. By threatening to ignore Congress's will and withholding or redirecting funds, Trump is effectively undermining the legislature's power to set fiscal policy. This behavior is an attempt to seize the purse strings of government, a vital tool for maintaining control. The push to unilaterally end birthright citizenship, despite clear constitutional protections, also reflects this stage. Trump is essentially disregarding the role of the judiciary by claiming that the president has the power to change the Constitution through an executive order. If successful, this would mark a severe undermining of judicial independence and a shift toward the complete consolidation of power in the executive branch. So yes to stage 2. Trump's actions demonstrate a clear attempt to co-opt and undermine state institutions, from Congress to the courts, in order to impose his agenda. Stage 3 is about using terror, whether through state-sanctioned violence or intimidation, to suppress opposition. While we have not yet reached this stage in the sense of literal violence, Trump's actions so far are taking on increasingly authoritarian tones. The rhetoric surrounding immigrants as a threat to the country is clearly designed to paint certain groups as enemies of the state. Violent or militarized rhetoric surrounding immigration enforcement, coupled with the notion of a border crisis, has already had a chilling effect on the debate around these issues. His continued push for strongman tactics also serves to legitimize these efforts. Moreover, Trump's campaign against birthright citizenship and his suggestions that this constitutional right could be ended with just an executive order signals a move towards undermining legal and constitutional protections for vulnerable groups, including the undocumented, who could be criminalized at greater rates. So yes to stage 3. The rhetoric and targeting of specific groups for political purposes aligns with the use of terror as described by Paxton. Stage 4 involves dominating the institutions of government, particularly the judiciary and legislature, to ensure total loyalty to the regime. In Trump's first 12 days, we're seeing attempts to weaken or bypass key institutions. Most notably, his plans to stop foreign and domestic aid circumvent Congress's constitutional role as the body that allocates spending. If successful, this would place substantial control in the hands of the president, further eroding the checks and balances that are foundational to the American system. The proposal to end birthright citizenship also speaks to an attempt to subvert the judicial branch. The 14th Amendment is part of the Constitution, and no executive order can overturn it. Trump's willingness to disregard the courts and claim that he can end birthright citizenship without an amendment demonstrates a disrespect for the rule of law that is critical in the 4th stage of fascism. So yes to stage 4, Trump's continued challenges to both Congress and the judiciary demonstrate a clear move toward dominating institutions of government. The final stage of fascism is the implementation of radical nationalist reforms. While we may not be there yet, Trump's push for major changes like ending birthright citizenship and redirecting or halting foreign and domestic aid suggest a move in that direction. These moves would lead to drastic changes in America's immigration policies and its approach to foreign relations, both pillars of his political platform. Trump's rhetoric about a war against illegal immigration and his continued use of nationalist symbols and slogans suggests that his eventual goal is to reshape the fabric of American society, moving it closer to a vision of ethno-nationalism and authoritarian control. So yes to stage 5. While we haven't seen full implementation, radical proposals such as halting aid and dismantling constitutional protections signal that we may be on the brink of radical reforms aimed at consolidating power. Based on the actions so far, we are undeniably in a dangerous phase where the risk of authoritarian rule is growing. Trump's efforts to undermine constitutional protections and consolidate executive power show a strong push toward fascism, in line with Paxton's stages. From challenging birthright citizenship, to taking unilateral actions on foreign and domestic aid, to clearing out the federal labor force, each step reflects a clear trajectory toward dominance, particularly over the judiciary and legislature. To fight back, Americans can support judicial challenges, call on Congress to defend its constitutional powers, and remain vigilant to preserve the checks and balances that make the United States a democratic republic. Democracy isn't a given, and as history has shown, it requires constant effort and dedication to protect. Watch my other videos on what you can do to be a more engaged citizen at this critical juncture. As we wrap up this analysis, the question on everyone's mind has been answered. Trump is a fascist. He will continue to push the rest of his agenda in Project 2025 and Agenda 47, while the rest of America and the world asks, where are the Democrats, and will they finally stand up to him and support all of Americans? What is clear is that the fight for America's future is far from over. Trump's rapid pace and sweeping actions indicate that we are at a crucial moment in history, one that will shape the future of democracy, justice, and freedom. Thank you for watching. Here at Renaissance Spirit, we're committed to exploring issues that matter, from history and politics to social justice and personal development. Our channel aims to foster a more just, equitable, and compassionate world through thoughtful conversation, education, and reflection. If you're someone who values deep dives into history and culture, whether it's ancient Rome or modern-day politics, this channel is for you. We're a space for those who seek knowledge, truth, and understanding of humanity's shared story. So if you enjoyed this, please subscribe, turn on notifications, and share this video with friends who are looking for insightful commentary on today's pressing issues. And before you go, why not take the quiz to see if you're a true Renaissance spirit, or check out my deep dives into 2025 in the United States of Trump, or a Trump win is the end game for climate change. Live the Renaissance spirit. History hasn't died, it's simply waiting to be understood.